Panel, we're living in a world that is plagued by largely a lot of uncertainties. We're living in a constant state of need, and the only constant that's actually there that's present within this whole system is the fact that we need to survive. We need to live. And to live, we need resources, Panel, and these are things that the government is obligated to provide for its individuals. Otherwise, they'll be subjected to abject poverty. I think there are two things that I must clarify first in the definition metric, even before we move into the substantive matter of the debate. One, the government here is a last resort employer. This essentially means that we're dealing with a government where, or a situation where these individuals have other alternatives that are present, but upon failure of these alternatives to actually provide or yield any fruit, now that's when the government can actually step in and provide that level of last recourse, able to save these people from struggles. Even secondly, right, what exactly does a guarantee mean here? Guarantee means assurances. We're looking at a circumstance or a situation where the government provides opportunities that are assured for these individuals, especially for the youth who are the most marginalized section immediately coming from university. Like Abby has mentioned, tamakas. We're now going to address why it is very important to protect these individuals. First and foremost, a layer of characterization, just for you to understand the kind of nature of the world that we're living in today. Like I've mentioned, you're living in a world that is plagued by unprecedented times. You're living probably, most likely in a post-COVID world, post-pandemic world. You're dealing with a life where there is significant amounts of inflation, there's a lot of stress, and there is a significant there's a significant level of struggle, right, that is present on a lot of these individuals. It's incredibly harmful then, therefore, Panel, when you're looking at the individuals who just come from university, who have no jobs, who have only just, graduated and just have that bare minimum basic level of education, and therefore now looking to enter into the job market to be able to survive and to be able to thrive, not only for themselves, but also for the dependents that they may have. Even secondly, Panel, the economic equilibrium is shifting. You're looking at a circumstance or a world where there is a lot of inflation, like I've already mentioned, and where the purchasing power of money is, reducing. Even things that we could be able to afford, in the 90s, early 2000s, we cannot be able to afford them right now with the same amount of money that we have. We are struggling, Panel. We are struggling, audience. You at home, you are struggling. Now, I think the most important thing that we need to mention then, therefore, is three layers that we must be able to clarify even before we move into substantive matter. One, offering them jobs as government does not mean we're offering them high-paying jobs. It just means that the alternative in the world is no jobs. In our world, there are jobs. Secondly, the aim is to benefit the largest group of people and the most affected actors within this whole system, right? Well, we know and we are aware that there is a trade-off that exists, that some people may be harmed along the way. We're willing to exist within that system as long as we're able to find the most benefit on our side of the house. And even thirdly, right, these jobs that are being provided by government are not only within government. So any argument that these people provide that, this is not sustainable, this is not feasible, is highly untrue, right? On our side of the world, we're dealing with a circumstance where the government is the conduit through you are able to access these jobs, right? So these jobs may not necessarily be within public sector, but they are proffered and proffered by the government. Now, having understood all of these things, let's move into three structural reasons for why this thing still stands, right? One, there is a principled obligation by government to be able to provide employment for its citizens. You, the audience, and also the audience at home, you have elected your government, correct? You have given them the power and you've ceded your power as a citizen to be able to, for the government to be able to make decisions that affect your lives and affect other people's lives at scale. Secondly, you pay them taxes, right? Meaning that not only are you providing them with the capacity, through popular vote, but you've also given these individuals the money to be able to actually make a lot of these things possible. It therefore follows that this government therefore has that obligation to protect these citizens from abject poverty. Meaning there is an actual level of legitimacy that exists for the citizens to be able to demand the government to be able to provide these jobs for these youth within this status quo. Secondly, right, on our side of the house, we have an improvement of overall welfare and standard of living for these individuals. Remember, I've told you that largely you're dealing with the youth and people who've been highly affected by a lot of these challenges of unemployment, inflation, hunger cost is going up and, it's harming everybody all around, right? Meaning that essentially purchasing power for these citizens is important, and this is only possible if they have money. This money is generated from the jobs that they don't have. Again, an obligation from government governments exist to actually provide these jobs for these citizens, to be able to improve their level of welfare. This level of welfare panel is incredibly important because it allows them to be able to self-actualize, even from basic needs, from basic marginal needs to their highest level needs of, self-involvement and, self-fulfillment at that level. Even the third and most important structural reason, again, becomes the necessity and urgency that is placed on the government, right? Or that is placed by the circumstances that are present within the world that we live in today. As I've already mentioned to you, panel, we're living in highly unprecedented times. This now becomes for these individuals a circumstance or an issue of survival, right? Because this is the world that you're living in, and these are the kind of people that you're handling, right? If these people are unable to gain these jobs, remember I've told you it's a post-pandemic world. I've told you it's a world where, the government is already, the people are struggling, right? For these strugglers, there's a deeper level of struggler. For that struggler down there, they're unable to find level of fulfillment, and they're unable to survive across board. With that, I'll be able to end my speech and, hope that opposition has a better case to counter why you, the struggler at home, should not be given a job by the government. Hear, hear.